Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Okay, so guys, important thing is next 5 days I'm going to teach you two tools which is going to change the way we run applications and data centers. One is Docker and second one is Kubernetes. Now these are the hot skills now for any software engineers. If you are in development, testing, IT, infra, operations, architecting, any domain you are into, you have to learn Docker and Kubernetes because it's a platform for running apps. And if you don't know the platform, then how can you go further and do development and testing? When I say platform, that means, let's say if you don't know how to operate laptops, how can you use the laptop for the development and testing? So same way, Docker and Kubernetes is a global platform for running applications in your laptop, in your dev environment, in your QA environment, in your production environment, in your data center. So all these things you need to know. So again, if you have some, commitment, office commitment, please uh, postpone for few days, few hours. You can do offline hours after 6 p.m. and then we can get learn this Docker and Kubernetes in the next 5 days. And I'm sure after this 5 days you will save so much of time for many you know hours of time while running an application in dev QA and production environment. Okay, so let's get started. Again guys, I'm not reading the chat during the screen sharing, so if you have some questions, you can speak up, no problem. Again, one more thing, I'm not going to use slides here. I have a lots of slides. Any resources which you want to go and download it, refer it and all, there's only one place which I can recommend. That's devopsschool.com. You have all the slides, though when I need slides I am going to use for sure, but yeah, most of the time I feel comfortable with a notepad, but sometimes if the diagram is very complex I'm going to use the slides as well. Okay, so let's get started. Before that, do you have any questions, any doubts and stuff like that? Any questions, any doubts? No? Okay, so let's get started. So guys, first question what I'm having in my mind, and that is, what is Docker? Okay, what is Docker? Okay, so when we say discuss with peers, when we Google and whenever we try to find out what is Docker, then we come to know, okay, fine, Docker is a container management tool. Okay, wonderful. So I learned that what is Docker. But when I see the definition container management tool, then when I try to understand this container plus management plus tool, so I am not able to understand that. What is container and why it's been managed by Docker? Why it's a tool or platform? So guys, if I look at the definition of tool, then using tool, you know that over the period of time, since we got into this planet, we are using different tools throughout our history. And whenever we use the tool, Basically, we try to use the tool because of it, we saved cost. And that's the reason we use the tools, right? And then we save time. Yes, we save time for something. And then we improve the quality of the, improve the quality of the things, whatever we do through that tool. Okay, so here when I say we are saving a cost, saving a time, and improving a quality, but in what domain? Because it can be it can be anything here. What domain you are trying to save cost, time, and improving quality? So when we say tool, and when we say container, and when we say Docker, and we are saving cost, time, and quality, basically to run apps. Yeah, that's correct. In order to run apps, we want to save cost. We want to save time. We want to improve the quality. Let me give you a little bit of more glance. When I say I want to run more apps, I said apps, not one apps, multiple apps, hundreds and thousands of apps in data center. And you want to save cost because you want to minimize the cost of running application. You want to save time. That means you should be able to run the application within a no time, within a second. Earlier used to take some time to run the app, but we should not spend more time. And then same time improving the quality of apps. How can we improve the quality of apps? So the app should be having less bugs, less technical debts, and stuff like that. So how can we do that? So guys, for this we are having one thing, is to run apps in the container. Okay, so wonderful. I got to know what is Docker. So Docker is a container management tool, but at the same time I understood the definition of tool, and the same time I found out this tool is going to help to run apps, but into what? Is going to run apps in the container. Is going to run apps in the container. So now the question is in my mind is, what is container? Because that's important thing, because I got to know using the Docker you can save cost, time, and improving the quality. How? So you're going to run application in the container, so that way if you run application in the container you can save cost, time, and improve the quality. But the question is, most important question is, what is container? So this we need to understand, what is container. So guys, what is Docker? Did you understand that at a high level? Guys, are you there? Hello? Yeah. So guys, I would request you all to be responsive over the audio, so that way this session will be interactive. Else is, that's a 5 days program, and then we lose the, sync. So it's sometimes it's very difficult. So let's be in sync through audio and be promptive, so we can interact with each other. So now the question is, what is container? So guys, before me explaining you about what is container, I would like to tell you one more thing. And the thing which from last 20 years or 15 years or 10 years, whatever the number of experience you have, since your colleges, you've been doing the engineering, right? So you've been knowing these topics. Nothing great. I'm just helping you to recall the stuff. And the question is, which I'm going to ask you, all of you, is how can we run app? Let me redefine this question. What are the components we need to run apps or software? What are the components? Have you ever thought about it? What are the components we need to run application or software? Or how can we run apps? Prerequisite to run apps. Prerequisite for running app, running software. Okay, so this is the question which we are going to answer first, because the moment you understand, you give me these questions answer, you know that what is container, because I don't have to struggle a lot to teach you what is container, because you know that what is container. I just need to recall the answer for this question. So guys, when I look at it, I'm sure you must be thinking about it. Okay, what are the things you needed? So when I look at this architecture of running software or running applications, it's not going up, by the way, it should go up, huh? So running software, running application, the basic requirement what we need is hardware, right? We need a hardware, correct? When I say hardware, then typically we consider CPU, RAM, and storage. Simple. CPU, RAM, and storage. You know that. You want to run software, and for that you need a laptop. You need the physical machines or virtual machines, right? You need the hardware. Laptop is a device, right? It's a hardware. And then top of your laptop, what do you do? What do you do? On top of your laptop, which is a hardware, what do you do? You installed operating system, correct? You install operating system. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm talking about your laptop, nothing new. You know that very well, but you need to see the same perspective in a different angle. We'll come back to that. So you have a hardware, and top of it you have an operating system. Now guys, what I do, I want to run one applications. So what I do, I log in, and then this login create users isolation. Let's say my name is Rajesh, so I log in as a Rajesh user. So this user is creating isolation. Remember, when I say isolation, that means if I'm a normal user and you are also a normal user in the same machine, you cannot see my area, I cannot see your area. Simple. You cannot go in a simple way. If I say you cannot log in, you cannot see my desktop, I cannot see your desktop. So it's like that. So on operating system, we create a user isolation. Wonderful. I'll just create a little bit like this. Okay. Now, guys, this user isolation needs to see some file system, correct? Some file system. Think about it. Nothing, I'm teaching you nothing great. You know that. I log in, what I see. When I log in, what I see. Anyone would like to comment on this? When I log in to my laptop, when I log in to my virtual machines, what I see. No one? Okay, guys, little bit I'm expecting, because it's just the first day and I feel like all of your energies are very less actually. So we need a good amount of energy actually, because I should talk to you, not to my laptop. Right? Okay. So let me log into my laptop, and I have logged in and I see this one. I see desktop. Sorry about that. My desktop is mess, but this is what I see. When I go to my PC, I see C drive, E drive, and stuff like that. Wonderful. So guys, have you ever thought about it? When you log in, and let's say this is my user space, and there's one more user space, I have got this one. Both the users will see same thing. See, both the user will see their own desktop, mind it. Desktop will not be same, but they will see some file system, which I have just now I have shown you. This is the one. Both the users will see C drive, D drive, both the users will see. So guys, have you ever thought about it, how this files system get mounted. Please read my statement. How this file system get mounted to each user. By the way, how part will come back in some time, but one thing get mounted for sure, and that is called C drive and D drive. In short, in Linux, we call it a root file system. So guys, one file system, FS, I said file system, get mounted. Wonderful. So I see C drive and D drive. Wonderful. Remember, the question still remains same. How can we run applications in the hardware? So that is a thing which we are discussing. So we need an operating system, and then we need a mount. We need a mount. Then guys, what I do, I download the application, let's say Apache applications, and I run it. So guys, this application which I'm running, guys, needs, understand that, needs CPU and RAM. Of course, you need a RAM, you need to run process, so you need a CPU and RAM. Guys, do you know how this each application which you are running, knowingly and unknowingly, how this CPU and RAM get allocated? And from where it's getting allocated? Who's allocating this CPU and RAM? Have you ever thought about it? So guys, let me show you Windows itself. It's very simple to, because you are using Windows day and night, so it's very easy to visualize that. Visualization is most important in any learning process. Okay, look at this here. This is the detailed. How many applications you are running? You see that. This left side, all these are my application which I'm running. Let me just take a screenshot of it. See here. These all are my application which are running. Not I am running. Many people are running. See, this application I am running. This is a codehelper.exe. But they are default user, system user, local search system user are running some different applications. So now these applications getting CPU, look at this here, and getting RAM, look at it here. But the question is how this allocation of the CPU and RAM happens. So if you look at it very carefully, guys, each services which you are running, each application, I said each application, whatever you are running, it create one process. Look at this, and process is identified by process ID. So if you want to know how much CPU and RAM this particular application is using, you can trace it through the PID, process ID. So you see that every process you run, it required one process ID. One process ID. Have you ever thought about it? How this process ID is getting allocated to these applications? So guys, what happens? There is a one PID table need to be initialized whenever you reboot the system. Whenever you boot the system, then one PID table need to be initialized. Okay, this is the PID table. PID means what? Starting with a 0 and then followed by X number of it. You see here, and then followed by this. This will come and disappear, this, that, and all stuff like that. Okay, so now this is the PID table. Each processes, each services you run. So now guys, this process, this applications also need one PID. Why? So allocation of CPU and RAM can happen to that process. Okay, so we need a PID, and PID come from where? This is the PID table, get initialized. So here what happens, when you boot your system, your file system get initialized, then one PID get initialized. Let me ask you one question. Think about it. Have you seen ever when you log into the laptop, user 1 is having their own C drive and D drive, and user 2 is having their own C drive and D drive? Have you seen this one? Have you seen this? No. Guys, but you have seen this one. Each user gets their own desktop. You have seen this. Think about it, how this is working all together. Yeah. I see when I log in, to one of the desktop, all of us log in. I see the same C drive and D drive, but when I log in, I get my own desktop and other people get their own desktop. So how this is happening, how this is working out? Have you ever got the curiosity to know about these things, how it works? Because of this MNT. How each application you run in the machine, I say no matter who are what user you are using, each process will get a PID allocation. Have you seen, guys, there's one simple question. Have you seen ever in your compute device like this two process has the same PID number? Have you seen this? No. So who's creating initialization of the PID? How this service gets a PID? So PID is there. This PID table is there. Now, guys, this application you are running, see here. I need one. So to run an application, think about it. I said very simple question. What are the components we need to run application? So we need a hardware, then we need an operating system. What operating system has, which I'm going to come back anyways, but we need one MNT, we need one PID, we need one user. Okay, to run application, three things: 1, 2, 3. And guys, this application has to be accessible from outside, so we do need one network. Okay, we need network. This is the fourth element. Now, one more thing I will ask you. This network, have you seen this? Let's say this user is running Apache and this user is also running Apache. Have you seen this? This user can run on 80 port. Is it possible like other user also can run in 80 port? Is it possible?
No.
No, you know that. I'm not teaching you something great. You know that. How come that is possible? How come that is possible? Because of this network get initialized. Whenever you boot your system, one network get initialized, and because of that it happens. So now the question is, if someone will ask me if I want to run applications or software, what are the prerequisites which we have? So first thing I would say hardware. Very simple, you know that. But I get to know in a hardware we have to host operating system. Wonderful. Then in operating system, guys, we need user, you need PID, you need MNT. MNT means file system, the C drive, D drive, mount, in short, mount. And then we need a network. Why we need a user? So user get isolation. Why need a PID? So this application get a PID for getting CPU and RAM. Why we need a mount? So this application can be stored in the file system, which is a C drive, D drive somewhere. And why we need a network? So access from outside. So guys, these are the 4 components we need to run applications or any software. But the question is not answer. What is container? Guys, can you hear me? Hello? 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 Hello, can you hear me, guys? Hello, guys?
You lost you for 30 seconds.
Hello? Yeah, so I had to connect to my backup internet because my power had gone. So I hope you are able to hear me now. Guys?
Yes, we are able to hear you.
Okay, great. So guys, here the question is, need a hardware, then we need operating system, and then we need these components. But have you ever wondered how these components get initialized? Please read my statement. I said how these components get initialized when you boot your system. So guys, let's deep dive into the operating system. So guys, can you please tell me what operating system has? Operating system has what? Tell me. Guys, what operating system you have? Anyone?
Windows 10.
No. I just said operating system. There's two operating system family, Windows and Linux. So what it has, both the operating system has one common thing, and what we call it? Kernel. Yes, Windows kernel are different, Linux kernel are different, but they have a kernel. Guys, have you ever thought about it? Kernel, what is kernel? Tell me, what is kernel? See, operating system has kernel, but what is kernel? Anyone? What is kernel? See, I put in the Google, and here I just type it and I read this and I get to know kernel is nothing but programs. See here, computer programs. That's all. This is a computer program. Kernel is nothing but a computer program. Guys, now we need to know types of computer program. So basically, guys, here we call it namespace. Okay, these types of program, when you initialized, we call it namespace in kernel. So think about it. Operating system has kernel. Kernel is nothing but a program. Program has a type, and these are the namespace. Now the question is, what is a namespace? Guys, I will go here and I will type kernel namespace, and here go to the images and I see, oh, wonderful, I got to know these are the type. Look at this here. I have to open up this image only. Look at this. These are the type. So kernel namespaces has a type. Which are the type? You see the net type, IPC type, C group type, mount type, PID type, user type, UTS type, and all this stuff. Again, you can look at the another image also, and you'll get to know something about more. So here I open up in the new tab, and you see here, look at this. Here kernel has storage type, namespace type, networking type, C group type, security type. So this is a detailed one. This is a little bit less detailed actually. So what is this type? So guys, yes, namespace, kernel has namespace. These are the type. What namespace? So guys, one of the namespaces which is very popular and which is called user namespace. Wonderful. There's a user namespace. So what exactly it is doing? So guys, user namespace initializing user area. Yes, initializing user area. The moment you log in, you become a Rajesh and no one can come inside you. How can it be created? Because of user namespace. Yes, in one machine, how can you create, how many users you can create? Multiple. So guys, each user running some applications, and that required the allocation of the process and then CPU and RAM. So the question is how this each process, whatever this user run, or each file, whatever you see, mind it, each file, whatever you see, how can you see? When I say each file, that means C drive, D drive, your desktop, this, that, and stuff like that. How can you see? So that come from the mount namespace. What exactly is doing? Initializing.
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Initializing mount file system. Now what is a file system and mount? I'll teach you a little bit later. Mount means whatever you see. When you log in to your laptop or desktop, whatever you see, that's called mount. Now, each application, whatever you run, require the PID allocation that come from the PID namespace. What exactly is doing? Initializing process table. Okay, the one which I have shown you just now, you see here. These are the process PID table. Now, all the processes, whatever I am running in the system is allocated with the process ID, and CPU and RAM is getting to the PID of that particular tools. Now the question, guys, any application which you are running, you have to access from outside. So how this network getting initialized? That come from the network namespace, NNT namespace. Guys, so correlate this stuff. Guys, think about it. Operating system has kernel. Kernel has a type of namespaces. These are the programs. This program type is initializing the user area. This namespace is mount, PID, and network. PID required the allocation of the CPU and RAM, and that come from the C groups. Just now I have shown you C groups. And guys, this user need allocating CPU and RAM. I'm writing it also. And guys, this user, whether it's a normal user or super user, like a root user, how this is being maintained? So that is being maintained by capabilities, which all these things are in kernel only. Capabilities. So root or non-root. Simple. So guys, in short, I'm not teaching you kernel. I'm not teaching you system computing. My topic is Docker, but we need to know what is container, and for that we need to know what are the components we need to run. We need to have to run applications or software. So guys, we need, these are the component which is there in the kernel, and kernel is the operating system. We need these component to run applications. Guys, did you all understand this? All of you? Can I complicate a little bit? Guys, are you there?
Yes, Rajesh, it is clear.
Okay, great. Now the question I should ask you, and that's a very simple question, guys. Let me put it because I need spacing actually. So now I should show you so you get a visualizations also, because without seeing some pictorial diagram, visualization is not there. So let me show you guys all these namespaces you see here: net, C groups, mount, PID, user. Here if you see the another images of this, I don't know whether you can make out or not. This image is not clear so much. Okay, see here: PID, MNT, network, and C groups. Here it is, and capabilities. Here it is. Okay, and network here. Network. Okay, so these are the stuff. But the question is in the operating system, allowed, need, and can get it. Yeah. Allowed in operating system. Think about it. I'm just putting up This is the umbrella of OS. Operating system companies allowed. So how many users you can create, guys? I'll ask you, how many users you can create in operating system? Guys, how many users you can create in operating system? How many are allowed? Guys, are you able to hear me or not? Doing the training right now. Okay, so guys, how many users are allowed in the operating system? Any idea?
Based on 32-bit or 64-bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so guys, I'll put it up. How many allowed? Many. To run applications, just now I showed you an image. To run this application, how many I need it? Only one. Think. Okay, how many you can get it? Many. Okay, how many you can get it? Many. Now, next question is, how many mounts are allowed to operating system? Only one. Have you seen 2C drive, an E drive, 2E drive? No. You have seen only one C drive. So how many mounts are allowed? How many mounts are allowed? Only one. Now, let me remind you guys, the same mount, all users are seeing it. So only one mount is allowed. How many need it? Only one. How many you can create? How many C drive you can create? How many E drive you can create? Guys, many. Yes. You can get it because see what is happening. Initializing the C drive is just a matter of creating this namespace multiple times. Initialize calling this namespace and you get a multiple C drive, multiple E drive. But we are not allowing it. See here. Operating system is not allowing it, but you can get it multiple. Same way, how many PID namespace is allowed in operating system? One. How many you need it? One. How many you can get it? Many. Network namespaces? One. How many need it? One. How many get it? Many. Now when I say capabilities are available, so similar way you can allow users to be initialized multiple times. Same way you can also network PID and MNT can be initialized multiple times, but operating system don't allow you to initialize. Only one. So guys, what we have learned so far, that is like operating system has kernel. There are different types of namespaces. These are the namespaces which is required for running application, and where we are saying what is operating system is allowing, and all these C groups and capabilities also is there. So now we have tried to understand the questions of what are the component we need to run to run application software. Now I will go into the history of computing. History of computing. Okay, so guys, let's say 1990s. I'm sure some of you might be working. Okay, 2000 and now. Question is very simple. Where we are running applications. Okay, so guys, I'm talking about the data center. I mean the running application at the mass level. Okay, so in the 1990s, how we were running application, where we were running applications, any idea?
Physical machines.
Yes, physical machines. Guys, we were running application at the high at the mass level. We were running the physical machines, physical server. We all know that. Still, laptop is a physical server only. You know that. Okay. Then suddenly, what has happened? We were running application in physical server, but suddenly we got the internet. And then when we got the internet, the popularity of the data center has become grown high, because now we don't run applications in the physical server. Let's say MS Office, Photoshop, MS Office, Photoshop, some games, this, that, and all. We don't run software in a physical server. We started accessing the software through the internet. Now, when we started running accessing the application through the internet, so those applications which you are accessing through the internet, they need to run in the data center. So now we need to understand what was the drawbacks of running application in a data center with a physical server. Let me give you some visualization. Look at this. So let's say you have a data center and you are still using physical server. So now let's say you have a one box, okay, and his minimum and at the peak level, peak hours, your requirement of this box is 16 GB, and at the lowest traffic your requirement is, let's say, 4 GB. So now you tell me, guys, when you have a requirement at the peak hours 16 GB, and when you have a requirement at the lowest traffic 4 GB, would you buy 16 GB machines or 4 GB machines? Tell me.
GB.
Very simple logic. You must be laughing like why I'm asking this question. But guys, multiply this by 100 machines now. And let's calculate how many total capacity of your data center? 1600 GB, whereas minimum traffic is 400 GB. And if you calculate average 6 GB, I'm just helping you to visualize, is 200, 600 GB. So guys, you tell me, in this physical server, when we were running data center in a physical server, how much is your waste? 1000 GB. See here, 1000 GB is your waste. Now you know that these machines, the one which you are using for the data centers, you cannot use for dev environment, you cannot use for the QA environment, you cannot give it to some other projects, you cannot reuse this one. You cannot reuse this infrastructure. You know that production is production. So look at this, how much we were wasting. But the problem here, what we are having with internet-based applications, we are not paying for it. Mind it. Have you paid for the Google searches? Have you paid for the Gmail? Have you paid for the Facebook? Have you paid for the Twitter? Have you paid for the LinkedIn? Have you paid for the YouTube? Have you paid for the Instagram? Have you paid for comparing the tickets on yatra.com? No, we are not paying for those. Yes, they are making money through ads, but we are not paying for this. So for the organization, those who are offering internet-based application, they wanted to saving cost, but what? To running apps. They said our model is internet-based, our model is free software, and only we charge for the premium services or through ads, whereas the premium services users are very low and ads, very few people click on it. So we have to save cost, but for what? To run application. Where? In a data center. Same time, guys, you know that we all are using internet based application, so we expect that applications to be running 24/7 without a downtime, and you may upgrade multiple times, so you cannot say you have to have a huge downtime to upgrade or downgrade or whatever it is. So guys, is there any way where we can run application and running application process should consume less time? Less time. So if you set up a hardware, physical machines might take 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. So it should consume less hour, so we can set up more in the applications in the less time. And can we save time and cost so we can focus on the improving the quality? Can we do something different so we can focus on the improving the quality for the development activities, testing activities, and operation activities? So we saw this waste were too high. We saw this waste were too high. Then we got a revolution of what? What? Any idea? What we got the revolution of?
Yeah. Virtual machines.
Virtualization. Yes. Virtualization. So guys, you know that virtualization we are using from last 20 years. So it's not a new technology. So I'm not going to teach you how virtualization works, but we know that. I assume you know that. So guys, what we are doing right now, we have huge hardware capacity. Okay. On top of that, this is the hardware. On top of that, we have kernel operating system. And top of that, guys, we have a hypervisor. Hypervisor. Which are the hypervisor you have used it? Can you please name it?
Intel virtualization technique.
Yeah, so you have a hypervisor, you have used the VMware, VirtualBox, which you are using for the demo lab today and next 5 days. VirtualBox, Zen, KVM, Hyper-V from Microsoft. So many hypervisors are there. Most popular is VMware. So guys, through the hypervisor, what we do, we create a VM. Think. We create a VM. In the VM itself, think about it, we have a operating system. We get operating system. Think about it, guys. We have a operating system. Harita, can you please mute yourself? There's some noise coming from your side. So guys, here we have a VM. And inside a VM, we get operating system. And then back to this same question, guys. What are the components we need to have to run application in a software? So we need operating system, which you got it. Then we need a user. We need a PID, mount, PID, network. And this user is running Apache. So you know that mount, PID, MNT, and this user, these 4 component, you get it from where? These 4 component, you get it from where? Kernel. And kernel, you have it here also. So here also, here also. Now, if you have additional storage, additional hardware, this infrastructure, you can give it to the QA and development or some other projects also. So this earlier, we were not able to reuse that infrastructure, which was, we were not using it. But now, in a virtualization technology, you can create this VM for the production and other VM for the QA environment, dev environment. Don't you think so? Don't you think so? Guys? Guys?
Yes, Rajesh.
Yes. So guys, we migrated to virtualization. You saw that, and we are doing the virtual. We are running application in a virtual machines now. We don't say, okay, let's say if you want to say, I want to run 5 applications. No one will say, okay, I'll give you 5 virtual machine, physical machines. You'll say, okay, I'll get you the 5 VMs. Don't worry, you can run over there. But the guys, see here, we were using internet earlier, but nowadays, nowadays, internet is consuming us actually. Yeah. Consuming us. In a simple way, I'll tell you, no matter whether you are using internet or not, internet is being used. Your banking account is always logged in. Paytm is always logged in. WhatsApp is always logged in. YouTube is always logged in and running the processes on behalf of you in the background. So earlier, we were having few people using the internet. So there were few requirements for the data center. But now everyone is on internet. Everyone is connected with the application which is running in a data center. So now guys, those organizations who's running 24/7, those applications, they need lots of CPU. Think about it, lots of RAM, lots of storage to serve all of your requests. But the problem here is our salary is growing up. The data center building cost is growing up. Electricity charges is growing up, but we are still not paying for it. Have you paid for the YouTube? The one which you consume every day for so many videos. Have you paid for the WhatsApp? Millions of, hundreds of images you share every week. So guys, what these organizations will do? Because virtualization is not helping us to running application in a data center. So what these organizations should do? So guys, each one of you today have to become architect. You are not going to write a code today, but become architect. This is the problem which we have. And the solution is simple. We need a solution from you. This is the virtualization model. These are the components we need to run applications. We migrated from the virtualization, physical server to virtualization because of wastage, to avoid the wastage of 1000 GB, which we discussed. So can you first find it out before you find out the new technology? Can you please find out what are the drawbacks, what are the wastage we have in the virtualization model? If you could find it out, what is the wastage we have in the virtualization model, then definitely I am going to answer what is container. That's the question for the day. Tell me, what is the wastage you have in the virtualization model in order to run applications at the mass level? Tell me.
Hardware allocation.
Nope.
We have multiple OS installed and all the namespaces and everything.
Correct. Yes. Correct. Guys, think about it. Think about it. Very simple. In order to run 5 applications, okay, in order to run 5 applications, how many operating system you need? 6. See here. 1 application, 2 application, 3 application. 1 operating system, 2, 3, 4. And on top of that, the hypervisor, which is consuming so much of CPU also, so much of RAM also. This is called heavyweight applications. So guys, overall, you are wasting so much of CPU, so much of RAM, so much of storage, and plus licensing cost. Mind it. I said each operating system alone, forget about the application, how much they consume. I'm talking about the operating system alone, consume CPU, RAM, and storage and licensing cost. And top of that, this hypervisor is also paid and plus consume lots of CPU and lots of RAM. So guys, can we do one thing? Because my objective is to run 3 applications or 5 applications. Can I run 5 applications? But avoiding this cost of operating system wastage and heavyweight hypervisor. Can we do something like that? So let's become architect. Objective is to run 5 applications. So let's do one thing. Let's have only one compute unit. Think about it. Very simple answer. This is the hardware layer. On top of that, you have a kernel. Okay, you have kernel, and kernel you also call it operating system, but there are difference actually. Operating system is having so many additional applications. Kernel is having only those namespaces and stuff like that. Now I told you in operating kernel you have these are the namespaces. So guys, these namespaces create one mount at the system level, MNT, C drive, D drive, like that. One PID table for process and one network. Now I want to run 5 different isolated application. Again, I am saying something, and please mind to my statement. I am saying I want to run 5 applications, and each application should be isolated. Each application should be and must be isolated. So what do we do in this case? I can run one user. Think about it, very simple flow. I can have one user and run 5 applications, but I need isolation. So what I will do is I will create 1 user, 2 user, 3 user. Now guys, think about it. This user can also run Apache. This user can also run Apache very well. This user can also run Apache very well. But tell me one thing. This user running Apache on 80 port, do you think this Apache also can be run on 80 port? Do you think?
Yes.
Guys, same machine.
Like
Do you think other user can also run Apache on 80 port?
But if they can use the same Apache, like they cannot start another Apache with the port number 80, but they can
Correct.
use the other
So
Apache which is started by
yeah,
or whatever.
we have to change the port number. Correct. You cannot use same port number. Okay, this Apache is running on a 50 PID. This Apache is also running on the 50 PID. This Apache is also running 50 PID. Is it possible? You tell me, this Apache, can it be same PID? No. You see in here, right? Look at this. 3 Apache, let's say these are 3 Apache. Can it have same PID? No. Not possible. Now, this Apache is running and writing the files inside a C Apache. Okay, this Apache is writing a file in the C Apache. Okay, this Apache is writing a file in C Apache. Is it a good? Because the data integrity will be compromised. So now this is okay, but guys, this is not recommended. This is not recommended. So now how do we solve that? Remember here, for this 3 Apache, what can you do? If you change the port number, PID number and directory, port number, PID number and directory, you can run 3 Apache. So look at this here. 3 Apache, how many operating system? Only 1. So look at this here. How much CPU, RAM and storage cost you save it on top of the licensing cost. Now guys, important thing is how much time it takes to create this user. Second. But the problem start here. The problem start here. Like we need isolated application environment. See here, this is the load balancer. You know that network load balancer cannot load balance this Apache and this Apache. Yes, Load balancer cannot, because you have a same port, same different port here, different port 80, 81, 82. Load balancer, network load balancer, you know the rule, it has to be different IP address and same port, but here it's a completely different. It's the same different port number, but it's a one IP. So guys, this model can save us CPU, RAM and storage, but it's not helping us to run isolated application at the larger scale. So guys, do you have any idea what should we do here?
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Any recommendation from each one of you? Remember, kernel hatch, again I am reminding you this table, everyone please understand that kernel hatch all these namespaces, whereas you can get it as many you wanted, but it is allowed only one, and this is allowed multiple. Why? Because of PC concept. Guys, what is the full form of PC? What is the full form of PC? Let me search in Google. If you don't answer, then I'm going to, yeah. So guys, understand that PC stand for personal computing. Look at this image here. This architecture, which was designed 40 years before, it was not designed to run application in a data center. I repeat, this architecture was not designed to run application in a data center. This was designed to run one computer device for each individual. So they allowed only one amount. They thought what human will do with a multiple C drive, what human will do with a multiple PID table, what human will do with a multiple network. Though you can create as many you wanted, but you are not allowed because of operating system. So operating system guys like Linux guys and Windows, Microsoft said, listen, I am developing operating system for human being, not for running application in a data center. But unknowingly, we are running application in a data center with the grown popularity of the internet-based application. So guys, we need to change the architecture now. You tell me what should be done here. Remember, in the kernel, you have all this stuff. Whereas you allowed multiple, but here we get only one. So how many needs you need here? So guys, this application need one. Again, I recall, this application need one user, one mount, one PID, one network. This application also need one user, one mount, one PID, one network. This applications also need one user, one mount, one PID, one network. Can we create a multiple? Yes, but operating system is not allowing us. So what should we do? So guys, can we do one thing? Let's not disturb this model at all. Because if you disturb this model, we will be impacted. We as a human will be impacted. But can we do one thing? Because user namespace is here. So can I create this one user here? Think about it, guys. Mount namespace here, and can we create one C drive here at the mount level, each user? Mount is just like a mapping. Network is there, so can we give one network here? PID is there, can we create a PID here? Think about it. Think about it. Very simple formula to understand what is container. This is a one user, this is one user, this is one user is having network, mount and PID. Shared one. This all user is sharing this stuff, but this user is not sharing at all. This user is having their own mount. This user is having their own network. This user is having their own PID, and this is a user isolation. Now, applications when you run is fully independent. Now, applications again create one more user, give the one mount, one PID, one network, and applications which you run is a fully independent, powered by kernel. Look at this, powered by kernel. So guys, is it possible or not? Tell me. So now I'll put it in this way. This user, when I log in, I see the C drive, any drive. When you log into this user, and let me tell you, all these three users is sharing the same C drive and D drive. But when you log into this user, is you are having their own C drive, you are having your own C drive. Is it possible? Because here I said you can get as many you can. So question is it possible? Yes or no? Please tell me.
Yes.
Yes, it is possible. So guys, this user you can create having their own C drive. This user you can create having their own C drive. In Linux way, we say own OPT, own TMP, own SBIN, own this, own that. Is possible. But guys, Microsoft said, Linux said, no, I know it's possible, but I will not allow. Why? I told you here, it's not allowed. Why? Because these companies said, listen, I am developing operating system for PC. For PC, from personal computer, for human being. I am not developing operating system for data center. Then what has happened? Then this guy said, okay, no problem. Then this guy said, no problem. If you don't do that, no problem. I will do that. How? So what I will do, I will not disturb you anyways. I will write on one wrapper on top of your kernel. This wrapper on top of kernel. Simple logic, guys. This tool will create this user. This tool will create this user by taking all the capabilities from the kernel. Look at this arrow. Okay, this tool will take all the capabilities from the kernel namespaces and power this user, whereas each user will get their own mount. That means own C drive or own root file system, own PID, own network, and applications will be fooled. Assuming I have got everything, which I said very clearly, applications will be fooled. I have got everything. See, you need 1, 1, 1, 1. So these applications, when you are running Apache, you get own C drive or OPT, you get a own PID table. That means starting with the 0, you get a own network, and you can run 80. So this guy said, I will do that. I will write a one tool and which will manage this special user. Let me tell you guys, these are the special user. We are shared user. We are shared user. Are you getting my points, guys? Hello?
Yes.
So now the question is, did you get any idea about what is container and what is Docker? Did you get any idea about what is container and what is Docker?
Yeah, yes.
What is the container? You tell me, which is a container?
So it's a wrapper.
Yes, guys. So this is a container. This is a container. Managed by, this is a Docker. And container is nothing but a initialization of your user, one network, one mount, one PID. That's all. So actually, in technically speaking, guys, you are also container now. I am also container, but we are unfortunate container. Why? Because when you all log into my laptop, you all see same C drive, same PID table, same network. But these containers are privileged one. They get own network, own PID, own mount. We are unlucky one in that way. Actually, we are shared resource. We are sharing the resources. But these container, these users are not sharing the resources. They get their own isolated resources, get own independent resources. So I hope now it is clear what is container. So container is if I go by the functional definition, is a lightweight application runtime independent environment. It's lightweight means less CPU, less RAM, less storage, and then free. I mean, no licensing cost. Think about it. Here in this model, how many license you need? Only one. Because this is also user, this is also user, container is also user. So basically, functional definition would be container is lightweight application runtime independent environment. Whereas technical definition, it's just a initialization of user namespace and each user gets their own network namespaces, mount namespaces, and last one PID namespaces. Guys, did you understand that now what is container? Everyone?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so guys,
Rakesh.
that is the reason we say Docker is a container management tool, and that's the reason I said using the Docker you can save lots of cost, lots of time, improving the quality of the software to run application. When you run application in the container, everything you get it. So these are the advantage of the container. Container is just a you are also container, I'm also container, but we both are unprivileged container, we are shared container. But these are the container which is a useful container. They have their own runtime environment, they have their own resource allocation from what? Kernel. But because of whom? This guy Solomon Hykes, he's not destroying your operating system and same time managing those runtime environment for applications. So now you tell me how many, if you want to run, let's say two applications, two container, two application, let's say 50 containers. So you need a 50, how many operating system you need? Only one. But in the virtualization model, you only tell me you want to run 5 applications. How many containers you, how many operating system you need? 6. See that how much you are saving, how much time it takes to create a user. You know that just a matter of second. Here, how much time is to create a virtual machines? It takes 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes versus 1 second. Look at the time you saved. Now, guys, you can run container anywhere, wherever you have a kernel. Mind it. That means you can run container in your laptop, in your dev environment, in a QA environment, and in the production environment. Also, with the help of Kubernetes. So, guys, Docker is a container management tool. Okay, from Solomon Hykes. Okay, this is written in Mir, just give me 2 minutes. Just I'm
Yeah, sure.
yeah, written in Golang. It has a multiple release. One is a community edition, which I'm teaching you part of the session. Okay, enterprise edition is a different software altogether. We are not covering, but we have a replacement Kubernetes, which is we'll cover 3 days. Okay, again, if you want to know what is the difference between C and E, you have to read it. I have given a good reference material here. Docker Enterprise. Okay, so you can just read this article here. It's in detail here. So offline hours you can read it. Okay, now yeah, so guys, it's written in so this is a open source. Community edition is open source, and like that. Okay, latest release, latest version, which you have 19.x and so on. So guys, now I'm going to teach you one tool, which is Docker, which will basically save lots of your time, lots of your cost, and help you to improve your software quality, and many more. So guys, any questions on understanding what is Docker and then what is container. Let me tell you here, it's just a platform. You have to learn that platform now before it's too late. Because now onwards, all of us, entire world will be running the application not in a virtual machine, so not in a physical machine. We'll be running application in the containers. So we all need to know what each containers management tool, which is a Docker. Got it, guys? Any question?
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.